Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Deep Threat Sports Network. This episode, you have David, Bryant, and myself. We're here to cover the second half of the Big 12 win totals. We've been knocking these things out every week. These episodes have been awesome. Hope you guys are following along. Hope you guys are kind of watching the lines kind of change, following us on some of our picks here. We've aligned on quite a bit of things. You've got some different analysis from each of us to go against one another, to be there for one another, kind of telling you all the ins and outs of these teams so far. As you can see, we don't have Nolan this week. He got out of the office a little late today, but we'll be back with us next week when we kick off the Big Ten. Fellas, how we doing? You guys been watching these things? I should ask the question: have you guys taken? Is that the right word? You taken any of the lines that we have talked about so far?
Man, I'm still holding off. I think there's a lot that can change, as we'll talk about one of those situations, here in a little bit. But I just feel like the line could be something today, but by next week, there's a lot that can change. People can get hurt, walk into the grocery store and tear something. I mean,
Well,
anything can happen.
you'll see these things jump around the closer we get to season. Bryant, what about you? Any that you like so far in the early lines?
There's a few that I've liked. I just haven't taken any as of yet, kind of from Dave's point. But that being said, on the flip side, this is some of the best odds you can get all year as far as taking these lines. They're only going to get tighter as closer as the season gets, as far as closer to an even bet. So I'm waiting, but I've also been eyed a few as well.
We've talked about this too with the Big 12, man. The Big 12 is so wide open. I feel like there's a couple of these teams that we really don't know. I don't even think they necessarily know what they're going to be just yet. And that might be one of these teams right here that we're going to lead off with this episode. So, Dave, go ahead and take it away. Talk to us about what's going on with the line and kind of take us from there.
Yeah. So, like I said, one of the teams that, it has changed so much. I mean, initially, we're looking at Kansas. So, initially, the over under was 7.5. It's now looking like it is 6.5. And then the over was plus 145. It is now 155. Minus 155, and then it was originally the under was minus 175, and now it is plus 130. So take from that what you will. I think Kansas is going to be a decent program, but again, I mean their quarterback's coming back, so that's always good to keep your quarterback. As a lot of teams know, that can be very important. And I think they have a decent amount of linemen that are going to be still pretty solid there. Which your line having a good line. And then if you have a good quarterback, I think that can make a big difference. But again, this conference is just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like this conference has a lot of 50-50 games. And more specifically, Kansas. I feel like Kansas has a lot of games. If you look at them, you're like, I don't know. Like, could go either way.
It's very coin flippy. And Brian, I don't know what you have on this yet, but what's funny about this line movement is I had under 7.5. But now that it's 6.5, I have over 6.5. Like I have them right at that 6-7 win margin. And kind of what Dave said too, there's a lot of coin flip games. I look at this schedule and I talk about it every episode just to make it clear again if it's your first time with us. I have my sure wins, my should wins, coin flip wins, coin flip losses, and sure losses. And I kind of highlight them all on my own separate page a little bit differently so I can follow it real easy. And I'm looking at it right now and I got 4 coin flip wins. So if those go the other way, then under 6.5 is right back in play. And I don't hate it at plus 130. That's really good odds to go get this Kansas team. But as Dave touched on, Jaden Daniels comes back. We've seen him there a couple of years. The real question with him, Bryant, you know this as well as anybody, is he going to play all 12 games? Is he healthy? Is he going to play 5 games? You just don't know what you're going to get out of Jaden Daniels. Yeah, Dave, you touched on this too. That O line, they got some consistency. That's good. That's a good start for Jaden Daniels to keep him upright. And let's be honest, Lance Leipold truly is one of the best coaches in the business. I mean, he's working with less. Maybe they have some buzz around this team. They have a new stadium. They got 3 transfer receivers. You go 5-7 last year. You do lose Devin Neal, who was one of the best parts of your team. This is a really, really interesting team. And I know Bryant hates Kansas. I hate Kansas, so I'm sure he's pounding the under on this, and I don't blame him. But when you look at this schedule, they have 4 tough games. And outside of that, it's kind of like, I don't know. You play Mizzou, you're probably not going to win that. You play Texas Tech, not going to win that. Kansas State, Iowa State, not going to win those. But Bryant, before we pound the under on this team, we look at a Fresno State, should win. Look at a Wagner, gonna win. Look at a West Virginia, you should win. Cincy, UCF, what are they? Those are coin flip wins for me. Oklahoma State, Arizona, those are coin flip wins for me because we don't know what those teams are either. And then you do play a Utah team who I'm just going to give the edge to Utah because they're just a better program than Kansas. So that's a coin flip loss for me. I had them coming in at 7-5, but I don't love it.
Boys, what are we talking about? They're not going to win a game.
I knew that was coming. Wagner going to give them a run.
Yeah, Wagner and Fresno State, man, those are some tough games. No, I actually have them at 8 wins. I think they lose their those 4 tough games you mentioned: K State, Mizzou, Texas Tech, and Iowa State. Um, you know, Jalen Daniels, if you look back last season, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12 in the back half of the season. A, he was healthy, and B, they kind of got the mojo going that we've seen the year before, and being complete team on both sides of the ball, and that definitely helped. Can he repeat that? And also, like you said, can he stay on the field? So I think that's the biggest question mark. They do have a pretty good running back coming back in Daniel Hillshaw. So he was effective backup for Devin Neal last year. So I think he should be able to step in and play very good this season for them. I do like Lance Leipold. Um, the defense could be the handicap. They had a lot of guys leave, brought in a bunch of transfers. And that seems to be a common theme across this conference is so many unknowns as far as which transfers are going to step up at which school, and Kansas specifically on the defensive side. But I got them over at 8 wins. Like I mentioned, I have them losing those 4 tough games, the 4 toughest games on their schedule. So honestly, they might start this season 4-1, 5-1, because Fresno State and Wagner, those are, shoe-in games. They're going to get their ass kicked on September 6th. West Virginia and Cincy, those are pretty easy wins in my opinion. And then, they end the season with Oklahoma State and Utah. So their toughest game is not first toughest game is not till Texas Tech, in the middle of October in the Big 12. So I got them over at 8 wins. I think Leipold's going to get them on the right path this year, besides what happened last year at 5-7.
I mean, I know what you meant, but I'm taking their first toughest game against Mizzou and then Texas Tech.
I meant within the conference. I mean,
with inside the Big 12 for sure.
If we're going to talk that Mizzou game, I think Mizzou is ahead of them at maybe every position besides possibly quarterback.
Well, that's a talk for a different. I think they're better at quarterback too, to be honest with you, Mizzou is. But I think for me though, when you wrap up this season, it looks like their last away game was the second to last game of the season against Utah. I don't think they can go into Utah and get a win. At that point in the season,
that game's at home, Collin.
Utah is a home game?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at Kansas State right now. That explains. Okay. Even if Utah comes to town, I still don't think they can handle Utah. I think at that point, Utah is the better program. And I don't know. I can't put all my eggs in this Jaden Daniels basket because I've done it before, and it just doesn't work well. And I also am very curious as to how these transfer receivers kind of settle in too, right? I mean, there's no consistency right there. And I don't know if they're really pushing Jaden Daniels throughout spring and the summer to be 110%, because what happens if he gets hurt in the spring or summer then you're done. I mean, so I don't know. For me, I feel pretty comfortable at 7-5. That line is right, I think. But if I was going to take one, to be honest with you, I would take the under because you're getting plus odds on that. And I think you're much more likely to come in at 5-7 than you are hit that over by 2 games. I'm actually really shocked you have 8 wins on this schedule, Brian. I really am. I don't think you're crazy for it because the rest of my games are coin flips. I just am not, I guess, at the same spot you guys are with Kansas.
I'm just not as high on some of these teams you have as coin flips as maybe you are, like the Cincinnati's, the Utahs, the UCFs. And I just think Kansas is a little better than them this season. So that's just kind of why I have them at over there at 8. But I agree with you. I think the under at plus money now is also very enticing because, Kansas, like a couple years ago, they beat Oklahoma, and then I think they lost 2 or 3 in a row to teams that were not even close to Oklahoma. So that's something they could easily do again this season.
They get up for the big games. They really do. And like I said a second ago, you got this new stadium build going on. You maybe got some buzz with that.
I was gonna dig on Kansas a little bit, and that was gonna be my dig. Like what is going on with that stadium? Have you guys seen renderings and pictures of this?
I don't. Yeah, I
It's
don't
bad.
under. Yeah, I don't understand if that's your new build, why this is the approach you took. I don't understand it, but maybe they're excited about it. I don't know. I don't think what they tore down for what they're putting up is. I guess
Yeah,
I.
it looks like Sporting KC soccer stadium.
Yes, it does. I don't understand it, but hey, 39th portal class 2, wanted to touch on that a little bit. That's not bad for Kansas.
Mm.
But you touched on something too. The defense is definitely going to be their kryptonite. I don't know how that defense does. They may give up 50 a game, seriously. So I don't know.
Yeah, this was a tough team to pick.
I think the line's right. I would definitely steer clear of this one if it were me personally.
Hmm.
Dave, take us on to the next one.
Yeah. So next one, team that has been very consistent over the years. Kansas State. They've consistently gotten at least 8 wins. The over under is 8.5. The over is -115, and then the under is -105. So, hey, their first game I think is in Ireland. So
Yeah.
another one of those where they throw one into another country and let's see what happens. But again, Kansas State I think should have a pretty darn good year. I mean, you got Avery Johnson coming back. I think they brought in some receivers. Now you have a new coordinator, so we'll kind of see how that relationship pans out. But I think they're going to do pretty well this year. I mean, not that they ever do terrible. They have not that they've done terrible in the past, but I think they're going to be one of those teams that I'm not saying they're going to win the national championship, but I think they're going to give a lot of people a run for their money.
This over under at 8.5 is kind of mind boggling to me. I got the over easily at 10. Um, Chris Kleiman, I think, is one of the best coaches in the Big 12, maybe in the country. They have an elite defense and defensive line. The only thing that scares me with this team is consistency with Avery Johnson and their offensive line play. I think outside of that, this team's ceiling in the conference and maybe in the country is as high as they want it to be. The only losses I have are honestly they could be easily be wins is TCU. I gave them TCU loss and Texas Tech at home. I think they win the rest of these games. And honestly, this team personally, I think could go 12-0 in this conference. They're that good, and the schedule is not anything crazy. They have some weird games in here against Army. The one in Ireland is cool, and then they played North Dakota, Chris Kleiman's previous school. So as long as Avery Johnson can stay consistent, they can lean on that defense a little bit. I think, like I mentioned, the sky's the limit for this team. So I don't know why it's at 8.5 personally. That just seems a little low.
Well, I think at 8-4 last year, I think they definitely underachieved. I mean, coming into the season, I was extremely high on Kansas State. Part of that reason being Avery Johnson and Chris Kleiman. But I think why I had so much confidence is they were willing to move on from Will Howard so easily. That gave me the utmost confidence that, okay, Avery Johnson, this kid's ready to go. He did show some inconsistency. There was a lot of big time moments where he didn't make big time plays. I think after a full season of starting and you move on to this next season, a year 2 under his belt of being the full time starter, I think you see those big improvements. I've talked about that on many episodes before. You get these year 2 guys that are taking on the role. They understand how to prepare for these games. They understand how to go into film sessions and just practice, man, and just know that you're the guy. And you go into those games feeling that it's not maybe as much butterflies as it used to be. I'm sure you still have some, obviously, right? But I think it's a lot more consistent for him as a performer. I love that Jace Brown's back. I thought they were going to lose him for a little bit in the portal. You get him back. That's Avery Johnson's number 1 guy. You have Dylan Edwards, the running back, transferred in last year. If people remember him from Colorado, he was a highly touted freshman at Colorado. I think he can do big things out of the running back position for this team. This offensive line is kind of a question mark. That's my only concern about them at all. And I think they're going to be okay. Avery Johnson's very mobile. So if the play does break down, he can get out, scramble for a first down, scramble for more than a first down, make throws on the run. I think that's where you're going to see him be at his best. And we talked on one of our episodes over the summer talking about how we have these freak guys that we want to watch, players to watch episode. And Austin Romaine is one of the best, if not the best linebacker in the country to captain and call the plays on this defense. I think this is a complete team, fellas. I really do. I'm with you, Bryant. The 8.5 is absolutely absurd to me. And the fact that it's only minus 115, this is one that I will sprint, not walk to. I am all in on this Kansas State team yet again. Maybe they'll let me down 2 years in a row. I hope not, because I'm a big fan of Avery Johnson. And I'm here to tell you, when we do our Heisman episode down the road, this will be a guy that I'm willing to take a flyer on when the odds are so juicy on him down the board, because I think he has it. He's an absolute gunslinger. And the fact that he can get out and run, and this Kansas State team should win a lot of games. I think they should make the playoffs, and I think he can make all the throws. I'm all in, man. I'm all in. I have them at 11-1, and that's only because I have 2 coin flip games. And I have coin flip wins for them. So if I really look at my predictions here, I have them 12-0. But since I do have 2 coin flips, and this schedule is kind of hard, honestly. Like, you know, if Baylor's a good team, like I'm kind of expecting them to be, that's a harder game than what it looks like on the schedule. Texas Tech, if they're what they're supposed to be, that's a harder game than what it's supposed to be on the schedule. Iowa State, same thing. And you play that game in Ireland, they very well could come out and go 0-1 to start the season. But then they're going to come back and absolutely thrash North Dakota, Army, Arizona, UCF 4 in a row to get some confidence back, settle in. It also depends what TCU is, right? So I'm kind of trying to find why they might have it 8-4, but still, yet, I mean, I think at worst they are 9-3, you know. But I would lean 12-0 more than I would lean 8-4. I mean, without question for me.
Absolutely. Like I'm right there with you. You know, go back to last year, Kansas State was rolling until they laid the absolute goose egg against BYU on the road. You know, and that was a shocker to us in the show and a lot of people around the country in college football. And I think Avery Johnson and a lot of these guys returning will not let that happen this season. They realize that maybe kind of derailed the rest of their schedule last year. So I think that bodes well for them to have those guys back and all that experience. Another year of Avery Johnson, like we just talked about. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I initially had them at 12-0, and I was like, man, they're going to lose at least one game, but
Yeah.
it's easily possible they don't.
The only reason they don't win the Big 12 is if Iowa State and Texas Tech hit their absolute ceiling. And let's not forget, Iowa State, we talked about their win total in an earlier episode. I need to scroll back up to our notes here, but I think Iowa State I think they were 7.5. So
yeah,
where are all these wins like, we have so many teams low. Like, where are they going? I mean, they just expect teams to drop games they're not supposed to. Give me Kansas State 10 out of 10 times, man. I'm all in on Kansas State. Can't say enough about them.
Well, let's go to a team that maybe not so many people are real hot on right now. Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy. I mean, to be fair, I this seems reasonable because they're pretty much a clean slate. Like, new coordinators, all the tons of production has left, whether it was to the NFL, whether it was whatever it was. Oklahoma State is starting straight on a clean slate, it seems like. So the over-under for them is 4.5. The over is minus 170, and the under is plus 140. Now, I was looking at this, and I was like, okay, it can't be that low. Like, you know, you think Oklahoma State, you don't think 4.5.
Well, no, you think Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State, you're thinking like at least 8 wins.
Yeah, exactly. Which, you know, how did last year go? You know, I think, didn't they go 0-9 in conference play?
Well, one of our locks last year was Oklahoma State. Like, it was like 7.5, I think, was the win total. Maybe it was 6.5. And we were like, look, if we just got to trust Mike Gundy and Ollie Gordon to get us to like 7-8 wins, this can happen in the Big 12. It wasn't close, fellas. It was bad.
I would say I looked at it, you know, okay, who are they playing? And, man, I mean, UT Martin, I mean, I would hope they beat UT Martin.
Oh,
Tulsa, let's hope so as well. I mean, that's kind of a toss-up for me. I mean, I don't know.
I'm going to stop you right there. After those two, fellas, I'll be the first to admit it right here. I don't have them winning another game besides
That's what I'm saying. I mean, the only other 3 that maybe toss-ups is maybe Houston, Cincinnati, and now Iowa State will be Oklahoma State for sure.
I mean, I have coin flip losses against Arizona, UCF, and Houston. Like, those.
I think UCF can have a really good year, so I don't think Oklahoma State beats UCF.
I don't.
Or better than Oklahoma State. Let's go with that. They will be at a higher level than Oklahoma State.
Yes,
which doesn't take much. But I don't think they
I
can
don't
beat
know.
Houston, Arizona, or UCF. I mean,
That's
you
the
lose your
exact.
best player. You lose Ollie Gordon. Your offensive line was
They don't
poor.
even have a designated starting quarterback yet, do they?
No,
I mean,
No.
last I heard it was between the TCU transfer and then Zane Flores, I think it is.
I think it's Zane
Flores
Flores.
and Flores and Hegeny.
Yeah, Zane Flores is leading the way, I think. And like, you don't have good quarterback play. You lose your best player, Ollie Gordon. Your offensive line was not good. Your defense was not good. You lose. You had a couple good receivers actually that you just couldn't get the ball to last year. I don't remember one's name was Presley, I think. I mean, like you lose your best options on both sides of the ball. They are littered with transfers, and their transfers they didn't rank in the top 50. Like there's a recipe for absolute disaster. They're not a good team. There was so much speculation about Mike Gundy not even coming back. Then we're going to remove him from the job.
Didn't he take a mill?
The only thing Oklahoma State has going for them is Mike Gundy's mullet.
Didn't he take like $1 million pay cut or something just to stay?
Yeah. They cut him down. I mean, this fellas, they fell off, man. They fell off in a big way quick. This is
I got
not
them.
good.
I got the under in this one at 4. I personally think Gundy's on number 1 on the hot seat list in all the country. Like we mentioned, QB issues. Their defense was absolutely atrocious last year. And this is honestly, if you're a team that's looking to bounce back, this isn't a schedule to do that. I mean, they're going to get their breaks beat off of them in week 2 against Oregon. They have a couple bounce back games, but they have home games against K-State, Baylor, and Iowa. I mean, those are losses. They play on the road against, like I mentioned, Oregon, Texas Tech, and Kansas. Those are losses, surefire, in my opinion. I gave them 2 coin flip wins against UCF and Houston, but I could easily see those be losses too. So I think this under is about as much of a lock as I think you can get personally.
The fact that it's plus 140 is another sprint, don't walk. Like this is unbelievable. These you might hear on our when we do our wrap up episode with all our favorites and our book it segment for our over under win totals for the season. You might hear me make a serious campaign for Kansas State and Oklahoma State, Kansas State over and Oklahoma State under on that episode. There is no way in hell Oklahoma State has 5 wins. No way in hell.
No.
If you couldn't reach that mark last year, how in the hell are you going to reach that mark this year?
Yeah, and they didn't get any better. They probably got a little
worse.
better on defense, but they got way worse on offense.
The offense is this is a MAC offense. I'm not kidding.
At best.
Yeah, I mean I'm being generous with the MAC offense. So this might be an FCS offense. And I don't hate Oklahoma State. I'm being blunt about this. I hate that they fell off this bad because I feel like the Big 12 is a better conference and Oklahoma State is a better football team.
Yeah,
like
I mean
they're one of the mainstays.
This team was playing in the Big 12 title 2 years ago. So the fall off should be studied for years to come. I think the fall off will continue, and Mike Gunn will be looking for a job after the season's over.
He's going to go be a coordinator somewhere, fellas. Dave, get us off Oklahoma State before I absolutely lose it because I can't get over how bad it's gotten.
All right, well, let's talk about another team that is they got a little bit of a better forecast here. We're talking Texas Christian University, TCU. The over under 6.5. The over is minus 150, and the under is plus 125. They didn't finish out great when you really look at the overall season. It was a little strange, but they did. I think they won out the last 6 of the 7. So they finished off on a good note. You almost rather finish off on the tail end a little bit better versus doing well at the beginning and then kind of doing worse on the end. They do have their quarterback coming back, Josh Hoover.
He's a stud, man.
He's an absolute stud.
I think he could really be, very dangerous. But again, what does a receiver core look like? I truthfully don't know what his receiver core looks like. I know Eric McAllister, I think should be like that is kind of like their go-to, like that's going to be their lock. And
they had a couple transfers come in. They had a couple transfers come in. I don't love the receiving core, but I love Josh Hoover. Like, I'm really impressed they got to hold on to him through the portal. I mean, there was a lot of teams. I mean, if I was a betting man, I'd say there was a ton of teams after Josh Hoover. I mean, the guy threw for 3,900 yards and 27 touchdowns last year. And he had 11 interceptions. He limits those a little bit. This team really could be pretty damn good. I mean, any team that's coached by Sonny Dykes, I think they have a pretty relatively high ceiling. I mean, you did go 8-4 last season. That's not bad. I mean, TCU fans have to realize that they're not a gauntlet. They're not a powerhouse team. That 8-4 is a pretty damn good season for TCU. I understand that you went to a national championship game a couple of years ago and you got absolutely mopped, but like 8-4 is a good season for TCU. I feel like that's relatively. You should be happy with that.
Yeah, I got them at 9 wins. You know,
I could get behind that.
TCU's low key kind of a hard place to play, especially in this conference. Um, Josh Hewer led the league in passing last year. Um, they need to work on running the football. They didn't run the football very well at all last season. I think they were the opposite. I think they were the second or third worst rushing attack in the league. So if they can kind of even that out, um, that's going to be a pretty tough offense to stop. And their defense was one of the betters in the league, and they returned almost every starter on that side of the ball as well. So um, I got here in my notes title dark horse contender here in the Big 12. If I were to take a flyer on a team not named K State or Iowa State or somebody like that to take this conference, I think TCU could be an outside flyer to at least be playing in the championship game. They have to have a lot fall their way, but this schedule wasn't overly drastically difficult. But so it's just going to see they do have a tough out of conference schedule. They got to
Yeah,
play SMU and UNC, but I don't know, man. I just really like this team. I think they returned a lot of guys last season that were big time contributors for them, and a great coach in Sonny Dykes. That I think the 6.5 is kind of really low for them as well, kind of like we were talking about with K State. So that's just where I'm at.
I have them at 8-4. I'm kind of right there with you. I'm gonna be on the opposite, maybe push back a little bit. That I do think it's kind of a tough schedule because of the out of conference. I mean, obviously
Mm-hmm.
they play Abilene Christian. That's a layup, but I have them losing that UNC game. It's a coin flip game for me. I think that game is at UNC. I
Yep.
expect a lot of buzz at North Carolina week one. I think the place is going to be popping. You know, the Belichick situation going on. It's a new facelift for that program. So I expect that to be a pretty tough game. I expect them to honestly get North Carolina's best right out of the gate. Then they go to or they play Abilene Christian at home, layup, like I said. Then they play SMU. Man, if SMU can just settle in and blow the cobwebs out and not have a little bit of a hangover from last season, I don't think they beat SMU. Then they play Arizona State. I don't think they win that game. They do play Colorado. I have them winning that. I don't think they beat K State. The Baylor game's a coin flip. West Virginia, probably not. Iowa State coin flip. I did give this to TCU actually. I'm a little shocked I still did that, but I had Iowa State losing them on the previous episode, so I got to stick with my guns. I don't have them beating BYU, and then Houston and Cincy they should win. So I'm kind of right in that 7-8 win range, and I think that's about right. I don't hate the dark horse Big 12 contender though. I love that take honestly, Bryant, because the Texas Tech, Iowa State, Kansas State, who I think are the three best. I mean, we don't know what we're going to get out of Iowa State and Texas Tech, especially. And if K State can't perform at the highest level, like they always seem to come short of, hey, this might make an avenue for TCU. So I don't hate that at all. I love that by you, by the way. But I have them over, and I don't think I would hammer it at minus 150, but I do like it. Dave, you're on mute there, pal.
Well, I mean, like I said, I really, the more I think about Brian's comment of the dark horse, I'm like, man, that may be something to put some money on, like, because if it hits, it's gonna hit big.
Well, especially in the Big 12, man. Like we said every episode, the Big 12 is so spread out and wide open that it would not shock me really if any of these teams, other than Oklahoma State, go win the Big 12. I mean, this is such a spread out conference.
Well, let's talk about a team that has a good chance of winning the Big 12. Let's talk Texas Tech. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen it already, but I mean, they're spending $55 million on the team this year between revenue sharing and NIL. That's insane.
Yeah, that number just
like
can't be real.
I get it, it's Texas, and I get it. There's some oil somewhere in Texas, but holy smokes, $55 million.
That value just can't be real. I've seen it everywhere. There's just no way.
They've got to be the highest in college football, right?
Oh, I think they are.
Oh, by far.
But at what point do you decide we're going to drop $55 million on players? I mean, it better work out, because if I'm a booster and I put money up for this, I'm expecting at least 9 wins.
Well, the over under is at 8.5, and it's pretty well split between the over and under, like -115, -105. My take on this is, Bryant, earlier you said Mike Gundy has the hottest seat in the country right now. I don't disagree, but there is nobody with more pressure than Joey McGuire as a head coach because of the money that they spent, because of the expectations they're putting on this. The number 2 portal class, shit, fellas. I mean, it is boom or bust.
Yeah, I literally have in my notes here, massive NIL roster creates a pressure-filled season. They have to win, and they have to win now just because of how much their fan base is putting into this program. But they have some studs. Micah Hudson was there, left, and came back. He's probably like a quarter of that 55 million, if I were to guess. I have them at 10 wins. I think they do cover that 8.5. This isn't an overly difficult schedule, in my opinion. They do have some tough away games against Arizona State and K-State.
I think only 3 of the teams they play had a winning record last year.
Yeah,
so I think something that I saw.
It is a team that could possibly win some games because of where the schedule laid out. But another thing not many people, I think, realize is their new offensive coordinator, Leftwich from Texas State, is now calling plays for them. I mean, Texas State was one of the more explosive offenses in all the country last year. So I think that will bode well for them. Their defense was good last year besides stopping explosive plays. So if they can somehow correct that and, keep the plays in front of them and limit the offenses they're playing to less yards and not long touchdowns, I think it's right there for the taking for this Texas Tech team. And they got all the guys that can do it. So I got them over at 10. I think they'll be right there at the end of the season, vying for a chance in the Big 12 title game.
I'm at 10-2, /11-1. I'm right there with you, Bryant. I said a second ago, the number 2 portal class, they brought in 13 4-star transfers. 13. That is insane, especially in the Big 12. There is nobody else in the Big 12 that's sniffing that, I promise you. I think what's funny about the Micah Hudson thing, I think he played him like a fiddle. I think he was back chasing. I think he went to A&M, got them to run the market up for him. Texas Tech came back, said, okay, we'll take you back. Let's not forget he was, I think, the number 2 or number 3 receiver in a couple classes ago, coming out of high school, was a 5-star, highly touted receiver, absolute stud. Man, settle in and play your position a little bit before you get a little carried away like this. But they also, like I said, 13 4-star transfers. You bring in David Bailey, who was one of the most sought-after defensive ends coming out of Stanford. You bring in Quentin Joyner, the running back from USC. Baron Morton's back at quarterback 4-year 3 for 3,300 yards, 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions last year. Man, Joey McGuire, I don't envy you right now because I think if you're not 9-3 or better, man, you have got some serious questions to answer, and rightfully so. Bryant, you hit the nail on the head. This schedule is not bad at all. I mean, you play Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Kent State, Oregon State to open this thing up. Then you play Utah, Houston, Kansas. You should be 6-0 without a question. Then you play Arizona State. Maybe I'll give you that one. You play Oklahoma State. You should mop the floor with them. You play Kansas State and BYU, then UCF and West Virginia. Man, you lose more than 3 games, I might come down there and fire you myself because this is a schedule where you should take off and run the table with, no doubt.
Absolutely. I think being in a pressure-filled season, it's one thing, but then you got so many players on both sides of the ball that you picked up that I feel like if I'm Coach McGuire, that I'm going to be pretty confident in my guys to come through as long as I'm scheming up on both sides of the ball correctly, like I should be. So, and that's why I mentioned the offensive coordinator and Leftwich. That guy knows what he's doing, and he's going to want to prove himself too. So, I think this is a pretty easy over for me. I think you would agree too.
Yeah, that was a great hire. Very underrated hire that doesn't get talked about enough. So I'm glad you brought that to the attention because you're spot on with that.
Now let's transition to another team that also has a new hire. We're talking UCF. Scott Frost making his return. Clearly Nebraska didn't really work out real hot. So now he's trying to – I guess you could say it's a lower pressure situation here at UCF. But again, the Big 12 it's not going to be that easy. And I just don't – just looking at UCF, they don't really seem to have much going for them. I mean, you still at this point have a 3 quarterback.
I thought you loved their ass a second ago.
Over Oklahoma State.
You want to hear my take?
Hey, I'll take Valley Catholic over Oklahoma State.
Me too.
I think
Me
this
too.
is I think this is probably the second worst team in the conference.
I agree. 100%.
I have them at 3 wins. Um,
Well, so real quick, the over/under was 5.5. The over is -120, under +100. So Bryant's sprinting to
there we go.
+100.
I'm going under. This is just a bad team. Their defense is okay at best, and I think that's the better part of their team. They're in a three-way battle for the quarterback. They have an inexperienced running back after losing R.J. Harvey to the draft. Not a single receiver on this team is returning. And the transfer portal class was right there with Oklahoma State's and being not even in the top 50. So, yeah, I get Scott Frost is back, but this isn't 2017 or 18 whenever he won the Natty after beating Auburn in a random Peach Bowl. So I only have them beating one Big 12 team in Houston, and then their first two games against North Carolina A&T and Jacksonville State.
Hey, don't
So
sleep on A&T now.
Hey, don't sleep on Jacksonville State. Seriously,
I
they
don't
may
even
lose the
know
first game.
what is A&T like. What
I think
is
that's
that?
like
Like
a technology school, like
is
an
that?
engineering
They're an
school.
agriculture and technology school. They're actually my new hometown team, as a matter of
Oh,
fact.
really?
Shit, Dave, sorry to offend you. How many games are you going to go to, you think?
We'll see. Depends on how they do.
Well, not good.
Maybe
They're not going to be good.
I don't
maybe
think I'm so low on this team. I have Oklahoma State beating.
I
like
gave that one to UCF. I have Jacksonville State, A&T, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and 3 of those are coin flip games. Very comfortable on the under here. I think the most notable thing for them is, Dave, you said it right away. Scott Frost is back. This is their hero. He should be the mayor. He should be like the dean of UCF. Everybody thinks he's the shit. I'm here to tell you the guy can't win a close game, and you're going to find out this season. And you were 4-8 last year, and your team was better last year. It's another one of those situations like Oklahoma State. Your team was better last year, and you were still bad. I
Like,
fully transfers on both sides of the ball. They did actually, Brian, have the number 42 transfer class, so
oh, I got that
not
wrong.
worse than Oklahoma State, but they're just right underneath them a little bit. But you do have Taven Jackson, the quarterback transfer from Indiana, and Tennessee, kind of played a little bit of both. Didn't really play, but was a part of both. And then Cam Fancher in from Florida Atlantic, also had some time at Marshall in there, transferring in a quarterback too. So a battle between them two. I don't think Cam Fancher's that bad. I think he's serviceable. But I think, man, you're in the Big 12, and I think they're going to get punched in the mouth week in and week out. There's no layup other than A&T on this schedule. Like I said, seriously, do not be surprised if Jacksonville State beats them week 1. That would not surprise me. I'm serious. This is a Jacksonville State team that's not terrible in the G5 conference. I know they made the leap up here not too long ago. But Jacksonville State's going to be hungry, and they could come in here and knock them right on their heels right out of the gate and start the Scott Frost era 2 off to a really bad start.
Yeah, I just don't get how this line's at 5.5.
The Big 12 lines don't make sense, man.
That
They
just
just don't
does
make
not
sense.
make sense to me. I guess that's all because Scott Frost is back. And
The hype, I guess.
they still think this is 4 or 5 years ago. So I don't know. I'm comfortable on the under, like you mentioned.
They could be, let's put it like this. The one position they may actually improve in is quarterback.
Yeah, KJ Jefferson was horrible.
Horrible.
Like
So I think
bad.
they can be better at quarterback. Really low bar. But you lose your 2 best players on offense, and R.J. Harvey and the receiver that they had. That was pretty damn good last year. Just all around bad. Hammer the under. It's plus 100.
Well, let's talk about the Utes, Utah. So we got them over. We got the over under at 7.5. The over is -135, and the under is plus 115. I can't really figure. I mean, I think they're going to do well. They have what is it? Jason Beck and Devin Dampier from New Mexico coming in, so that's always good.
Devin Dampier is a shoe-in starter for them.
Absolutely.
100%. But I'm just saying, just the fact that your offensive coordinator and your quarterback already have some time together, I think that'll be huge.
Wait, Cam Rising isn't there anymore?
No, I was like, I have that in bold on my notes. What is life like without Cam Rising at Utah?
He might be like a special advisor or something,
He's probably a GA.
I think he did get a role on the team, though. I don't quote me on that, but I feel like I remember seeing that he got a role with the team doing something. And that does not surprise me. because, I mean, the guy's been a part of the program for like 7 years, literally. So, Dave, did you say you were on the under on this or the over?
I'm gonna take the over on this
Really?
one. Yeah.
So,
I think. Well, I guess it really depends on the receiver room. Like, how does the receiver room, end up panning out? Like, they don't have anybody that I'm real excited about. But
the only
again,
guy that excites me is Ryan Davis because he came over with Dan Pierre from New Mexico.
yeah,
That's it.
but
And he had 1,000 yards there. Or he was, I should say over. He was right near the 1,000-yard threshold.
the only games I could see Utah losing are Texas Tech for sure. BYU, I could see that being a loss. In Kansas, I could see that being a loss. And then Baylor, I think, would be a loss as well. Well, for
beating
me,
K-State.
Kansas is a toss-up.
You haven't beaten K-State? Surely not.
Huh? No, Kansas.
We got
Kansas
K-State.
It could happen. It could happen.
Oh, stop
No.
it, Dave.
It could
Stop
happen.
it.
It could happen.
This is like your Colorado. No way. Get out of here.
All
They're
right.
not-
You remember this on June 18th? I said that there was a chance that Utah could beat Kansas State,
well,
and I also
mean,
tried to like switch it up a little bit, like just a what if scenario.
Well, your Flyers you took last year with Colorado over and Travis Hunter made Bryant and I look like we missed on that one. But I don't know, man. Like
This game is also at Utah, so you got to keep that in mind.
Wah. I think I do have them losing to UCLA right out of the gate. That's very coin flippy. Don't know what you're going to get out of UCLA, but I think UCLA should edge this one out. I really do. That's a home game for UCLA. The Cal Poly's a layup. That's where you get it right. They go into Wyoming, and Laramie is not a fun place to go play for
That
anybody.
gives me nightmares.
Nightmares if we're a Mizzou fan. Maybe that's where this is coming from. I have them edging this one out, but don't be shocked if they lose to Wyoming. Then you lose to Texas Tech. You beat West Virginia. You lose to Arizona State. You lose to BYU. I'm switching the Colorado pick that I had last week. This is the one switch I'm going to make. I had them edging out Colorado where originally I had them losing. I think they do beat Colorado, but I have them losing to Cincy, Baylor, Kansas State, and then they beat Kansas to wrap it up. I am pretty comfortable on under 7.5. I do like Devin Dampier, though, and Utah is a really tough place to play. You have your O-line back. You're the number 37 portal class, and you have Kyle Whittingham. So, I mean, there is some positives about Utah.
Yeah, Kyle Whittingham's a good coach. He's likely probably about done coaching. He's a pretty old guy, but I think that's going to light a fire underneath him to play a little better as he goes and finishes up career. I have them under at 6 wins. This isn't an easy schedule at all, in my opinion. But I just feel like 6 is too low. Maybe should have been higher, but I kept the wins and losses how I had them on the previous teams. So I got them at under 6. This defense was really not that great last season, and they didn't really improve a whole lot. So there's a lot of question marks on that side of the ball. I think they're going to have to score a lot of points to keep up with their defensive play. Now, Devin Dampier could definitely do that. That dude put up some electric plays last year for New Mexico. So definitely going to have to try to ride him to as many wins as they can possibly get. But I got them under at 6. I'm right there with you, Collin.
Yeah, and like I said a second ago, too, I think you find that he finds Ryan Davis often. That's going to be a consistent for him. And, yeah, the offensive coordinator situation. I mean, there is some good things about Utah. For some reason, I just can't get on board. And which is crazy because Whittingham's probably one of the best coaches in the Big 12. I mean, he's right up there probably in the top 4 conversation, top 3 conversation in the Big 12. And someone probably argue that he is the best coach in the Big 12. I don't know, man. I just not sold. Like, I don't think they have much outside of Ryan Davis and Dampier. And Dampier is kind of prone to turn the ball over a little bit. He's going to have to improve on that. And you're going to be playing tougher teams than you were at New Mexico. So I don't know, man. This is ceiling 7-5, so which still comes in on the under. And maybe part of me also says, hey, maybe this is that team if they hit their ceiling and they hit on their transfers. This is a team that, to that TCU point you had earlier, Brian, maybe they could be a dark horse in the Big 12. But and maybe Dave is right about this. There's always usually one thing that Dave pulls out of his ass and ends up being right about, and maybe it's Utah this year.
We'll remember this one.
This is a tough one.
Y'all remember the Utes?
I'm comfortable with taking the under 7.5, but it's still like I feel like Bryant feels the same way. It's still that Utah team that like I don't feel comfortable betting an under against them.
Right, 100%. Well, let me tell you somebody that I do feel comfortable betting the under on is our friends over in Morgantown, over in West Virginia. I mean, listen, it sounds cool. It's a little fairy tale story. Rich Rodriguez is coming back to his alma mater, but man, does he got a lot of stuff to figure out. I mean, this is why the over under is 5.5. The over is plus 140. The under is minus 170. I mean, there's just not a whole lot going on at West Virginia. I mean, they lost a ton. And yes, Rich Rodriguez is a winning guy. He can have really good offenses. Like, yes, I get that. But again, it's kind of like Scott Frost. Like, it's cool they're coming back, but they got nothing to work with, really. Like
You're working with the blank canvas.
Mm-hmm.
They're working with an empty canvas.
Yeah, the canvas isn't on the canvas. If that makes any sense, like it's
the only thing. Well, I will say, they've got their running back Jaheim White. I think he could.
That's the most consistent.
He could maybe have something going, but if all you have is a running back, I mean, unless you have, of course, like a Boise State that's got a certain player that was really good,
Yeah.
Unless
Ashton
you got a guy
Jiffy,
like that, like some generational talent, I don't think Jaheim White is going to be that guy. I think he's good.
You've got nothing else to go with him. Like,
yeah, if you have no threat in the air.
Look at Ollie Gordon last year from Oklahoma State. You can't alleviate the pressure off the running game. The running game is not going to work. Like you're going to average about 2 yards a carry at best. I mean, the Rich Rodriguez thing's cool. West Virginia was 6-6 last season. The one thing I'll say about them, this is a sneaky, tough environment. It should be buzzing pretty good. I mean, they are going to be a little excited. I think they should come out of the gate 2-0. If you guys remember the ACC episode, I gave them the win against Pitt. So I have them actually coming out of the gate 3-0. Then I asked myself, okay, all they have to do the rest of the season is win 3 more games. Well, I don't think you beat Kansas, Utah, BYU, UCF, TCU, Houston, Colorado, Arizona State, or Texas Tech. So,
jeez, is that everybody they're playing?
Yeah, I think you start out 3-0 and you lose the next 9, for sure 8. And this is littered with transfers and not really any good ones. Cam Vaughn was the number 1 receiver transfer in from Jacksonville State for them, and he wasn't the number 1 transfer receiver. He's just their new number 1 transfer in receiver. I mean, Brian, do you like the quarterback play?
No. I mean, he's serviceable. His name is losing my. I'm losing his name.
Nico Marchiol, I think is how you say it.
Yes. I mean, he's not a horrible quarterback, but
this team got absolutely. Battle, though.
This team absolutely got destroyed by the transfer portal. On both sides of the football, they lose their freshman All-American linebacker and Josiah Trotter. Multiple other guys on defense. They lost their running back. They lost 2 or 3 receivers. I mean, it is literally a blank slate, like you said. I think it will take time. I think Rich Rodriguez has the backing of everybody there. But it's not 2010 anymore, and it's going to take some time for him to get his feet back underneath him here in Morgantown. I'd comfortably on the under right with you, Collin. I see this line moving down to 4.5 personally with where it's at right now. But I got them at 4 wins. And I really gave them only 1 toss-up win against UCF. So, I think they could start off hot, but after that, it's going to be tough sledding, I think, personally.
Yeah, I don't think anything good comes from West Virginia. Rich Rodriguez, return year 1. Maybe next year, but this is just not it in Morgantown. And what I like when West Virginia is good. Like, I feel like it's good for the sport. They're one of those teams that I think they kind of uplift a little bit. It's good to see them win out there. Just not this year, Dave.
No, absolutely not. It'll be a battle of who's the worst team.
Well, I don't think they're going to be the worst, but they're going to be in contention for the bottom.
There will be lower 3.
They're bottom. I would say they're bottom 5. Pretty confident. So what we do at the end of all these so far, which we only had the ACC, but I'm going to ask Dave and Bryant, and I'll make my pick too. Who wins the Big 12, fellas?
I got Texas Tech.
I'm going Arizona State.
Wow, I didn't see that coming, Bryant. To review, we had Arizona State pretty damn good, so don't hate it. I'm going to go Kansas State. This is how open the Big 12 is. I mean, we got 3 different picks right here. I'm sure Nolan would probably have somebody else. Maybe he'd have Iowa State. I mean, this is the Big 12. This is life in the Big 12 for anybody that watches. You want to watch fun games. You want to watch close games. You want to watch competitive week in, week out. This is the conference to watch. Seriously. I mean, this is one where anybody can win any given Saturday. 3 different picks here. We need to make a friendly wager on this in our group and talk, and we all take a team here. But it's Kansas State for me, fellas. Anything else in the Big 12?
I just think it's wild, like you mentioned, how much parity is in this conference. I can't remember what was our Arizona State's over under. Was it 9.5?
8.5.
8? Yeah. So the biggest over under you have in this conference is 8.5. I think that's quite telling at what Vegas thinks is going to be of the Big 12 this season. As far as they're pretty much thinking it's going to be like 500 football all over the field here. So, like you mentioned, it's going to be fun to watch. I don't think there's going to be a team that's going to run away with this. I think it's going to be a lot of teams there in November fighting for those 2 spots in the championship game. But I just think why do I keep saying Arkansas? Arizona State just has the best team and all that experience coming back on that team. I think they're going to take it over.
Well, one thing I'll say about this conference too is if you watch it, you're going to see really good quarterback play. You're going to see really good quarterback play in this conference. There's some really good quarterbacks here.
I will say the
a
average
lot of returning starters.
I would say out of all conferences, this is probably the one conference that has, as a collective, the average capability of quarterbacks is the highest.
Yeah,
because SEC is good, but like there's a bottom and there's a top.
Yep. Well, and then most of the SEC, you damn near have. I would say just off the top of my head here, I'm gonna say at least over 50% and like unreturning, like new starters, I should say. So I mean, this conference right here, I'm gonna say is pretty high at returning starting quarterbacks. So you'll see some really good quarterback play there as long as they can find the rest of the pieces to go with it. You might see a Big 12 team make a little bit of noise in the college football playoffs. In all seriousness, I mean, there is a possibility that if, the 3 teams that we just named, and then I would add Iowa State to that mix, there's a possibility that any of those 4 teams could go win a game in the college football playoffs. And I'm here for it, man. I want the Big 12 to do good. So what we have on tap here for us moving forward is we will come back next week, and we're going to get into the Big 10. And I already started that doc for us. I did a random generator, and it gave us 9 teams for the first episode and 9 teams for the second episode. No alphabetical order, no picking what order, just a random generator. And we will dive into the Big 10 next week, and then the SEC 2 weeks after that. Well, both SEC and Big 10 will be in 2 parts as well. And then we'll move on after the Big 10 SEC and do our book it over under segment. Looking forward to that too, to see what we lock in on that. But that's Dave. That's Bryant. I'm Collin. Nolan will be back with us next week. Fellas, the Big 12 is tons of fun. We're nearing college football. It's starting to get closer and closer. We got to grind it out through the dog days of summer here. It's starting to really heat up. But once we get through that, fellas, we're on the downhill slide, and I cannot wait. So you can follow us on X at DT_sports_, Instagram Deep Threat Sports with a Z, Facebook Deep Threat Sports Network, TikTok Deep Threat Sports Network, YouTube, Spotify, Deep Threat Sports. Dave, Bryant, hey fellas, until next time, peace.